Hello, everyone. As I am staying true to my word, this will be the second part of my Blu-ray collection. Didn't make you wait so long for this, which is very, very nice. But to start off with, we'll be going through the last bit of my boutique titles. So I've got a lot of Criterions here and some oddball ones thrown in here and there, but this should cover up all of my boutique stuff. So first, we have a couple from the Eagle Pictures line out of Italy. This is the first copy of many you'll see of Mulholland Drive, which is my favorite film of all time. David Lynch's masterpiece. It is just, I can't really put this movie into words. It's just the most beautiful, heartbreaking thing I've ever seen. All of the cast is phenomenal. Justin Theroux plays this angry, miserable asshole so well. Naomi Watts and Laura Harring are just touching in this. And Lynch's direction is as beautiful as ever. Rest in peace. One of the most insane, this is just a movie that when you're done, you kind of sit down for a while and just go, what did I even watch? But in a good way. It was just so impactful to me that it just left me sitting there speechless for minutes at a time. So, beautiful, beautiful film. Next up, we have Martin Scorsese's most recent picture, Killers of the Flower Moon. This is the only way to get it on physical media is by buying it out of Italy, because unfortunately Apple isn't letting it be released in the States. It's a really long movie, so there were concerns that it being on one disc would it look very compressed and poor, but it doesn't. It looks very, very good. It looks better than streaming. Probably a top 5 Scorsese for me. That might just be recency bias, but I think this story plays into a lot of his strengths really well, especially the strengths of his later films, kind of the overall themes of them. Decaying morality, how greed destroys more than it builds, and just the problems with the American dream itself. Beautiful, haunting film. Lily Gladstone, not her debut role, but her first big role, and she blew it out of the park. I cannot wait to see her in more stuff. My first Kurosawa film in this collection, The Hidden Fortress. One of my favorites from Kurosawa. I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's certainly up there. A huge, huge inspiration for George Lucas when creating the original Star Wars, and that is something that is very evident when you watch the film. Demon Pawn. It was very, very obscure and unknown before Criterion put out their 4K last year. It's a super interesting film. It's adapting a stage play, and it's not a movie that's trying to get away from its stage play roots. When you're watching this, you look at it and you go, oh, I can totally see how this originated as a stage play. It's a super unique film in that way. There's not much to say on it. It's not something fantastic that I'm going to rewatch over and over and over, but it is a super unique anecdote of Japanese cinema, and I love this cover art. I think it is gorgeous. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. Maybe you don't have to buy the 4K. You could probably check it out online somewhere, but worth checking out just to kind of see how they adapted something truly meant for stage into a film format. The Complete Lady Snowblood. This includes the first Lady Snowblood and the sequel, Love Song of Vengeance. Again, beautiful cover art. The first one, at least, is definitely a very cultural touchstone in Japanese cinema. A huge inspiration on Tarantino when creating the Kill Bill duology. And I love it. I love the first one. The second one, it's worth a watch. It's not something I really think I'm ever going to revisit. It's more of the same to me. But the original is something very, very influential in not just Japanese, but American cinema as well. And you can clearly see the origins of Kill Bill in it. Super bloody, super gory, just in your face action. It's awesome. We have Kaneto Shindo's Kuroneko, a haunting vision from one of Japan's very defining visionary directors. It's not, you can't really consider it a J horror film. It doesn't really fit into that niche subgenre. But this was my first Japanese horror film, one of my first Japanese films in general. It is intense. It's very haunting and melancholic in a way. Like Mulholland Drive, this is a movie when it's done, you just kind of sit there with it. The Japanese, not Japanese, geez, I mean, Japanese cinematography is very good in this, but the black and white cinematography really highlights it. Like, even with this cover, you can see the ghost spirit vanishing in the mist. That's very prevalent in the actual film itself. It's shot gorgeously, and the black and white really adds to that. This is Cure. This is a film a lot of people say, like, haunts them, like, it sticks with them, and it really didn't for me. It's a great film. It's obviously very, very good, very well made, with a really striking, interesting premise, but it wasn't something that left me speechless or haunted like lots of other people say, but it's still a very good film. This is The Heroic Trio and The Executioners, two connected films, both starring Michelle Yeoh. This is not where she got her start. She had been in Hong Kong cinema way before this, but this is still definitely fairly early in her career and way before she was as popular in America as she is now. Very, very, very bloody, over-the-top action films. I'm not going to say they're fantastic. They're not, you know, they wouldn't top my list of action films, but they're very enjoyable for how batshit they are. Georges Franju's Eyes Without a Face, probably my favorite French film of all time. Striking, beautiful, beautiful Japanese cinematography. I said Japanese cinematography again, sorry. Black and white cinematography. I've been talking about a lot of Japanese films. Black and white cinematography with a beautiful, beautiful haunting score. The visuals are insane. There's some really, really creepy, like, surgical gore scenes, which this was an American film. It just simply would not have made it in. And interesting to note, this release includes Blood of the Beasts, which is a documentary Georges Franju did before this about Paris slaughterhouses, and I absolutely recommend you check that out. It's a short, like, 15-20 minute documentary, but going completely blind, it does something super cool with that material that honestly left me speechless. So this is worth it just to see Eyes Without a Face, fantastic film, but also that short film, Blood of the Beasts, as well. We have Portrait of a Lady on Fire. I watched this for the first time 3-4 months ago, and it really struck me to my core. It's a beautiful, beautiful story about love, about lost love, and about how heartbreaking that can be for everyone involved. Definitely worth a watch, though. We have probably my favorite Bergman film. No, that's not true. Wild Strawberry is my favorite Bergman film, which I actually don't have. I need to pick that up. Persona. I've seen this a couple times, and it honestly didn't make much more sense the second time. This is a movie that really throws a bunch of curveballs at you, especially about halfway through and right at the end. I'm not going to say what it is, but if you've seen it, there's some stuff that happens that just completely throws all analysis out the window. A great film, though. I definitely check this out. It's an easy Bergman to get into. Let's see what we got next. Paris, Texas. One of the very few starring roles for Harry Dean Stanton, who's a fantastic character actor. One of my favorite supporting roles. I always love seeing him pop up, and frequent collaborator of David Lynch as well. Kind of like with The Portrait of a Lady on Fire, a very poignant love story about how love is destructive. Who is the supporting actress in this? What's her... I cannot pronounce that. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce that. She's great. She's very striking in this, and her couple scenes she has in the movie. Again, a movie that really benefits from going in blind. Here we have Bound, my favorite Wachowski film. I'm not a big Matrix guy. I really like the Animatrix. I think that's a very interesting thing to do with that world. But this is easily my favorite Wachowski. It's a super, super compelling film. Gina Gershon, in one of the few actually good movies she's in, unfortunately. You've also got Jennifer Tilly in a pretty early role for her. Not much to say, it's just a really, really well-made thriller. The Virgin Suicides. Most people definitely prefer Lost in Translation, but this is my favorite Sofia Coppola film. Uh, a phenomenal performance from both Kirsten Dunst and James Woods. Really, really heartbreaking script. Just a movie that really strikes you at your core, and you sit with it for a while once it's done. My favorite De Palma film, Blowout, starring, I'm not a big Travolta guy usually, but I think he's very reserved and quiet in this, which leads to a very good performance. Nancy Allen, who is fantastic. Super interesting premise. I mean, I'm basically saying the same thing about all these movies, but it's true. I like all the movies I have almost. Very, very, very cool stuff done with sound. The sound in this movie is very unique. It's what really draws you in and keeps you hooked. You've also got John Lithgow, I believe, is in this. I love John Lithgow and anything he's in. This is not a super early role from him, but certainly something earlier on in his career. George A. Romero's masterpiece, Night of the Living Dead. I probably do prefer Day, like I said, but I mean this is also a classic. It created the modern zombie. Also, it was made during a time of a divided America, of a segregated America, and like a lot of Romero's films, has very heightened commentary on the social issues of the time. Miller's Crossing is next. It's not one of my favorite Coens. It's still very, very good. I mean, it's a Coen Brothers movie. It's still good, but I'd put it closer to average than a lot of their masterpieces are. Not much to say. It's a well-made gangster movie. It's a gangster movie. It's well-made. It's the Coens. It's good, but I would watch their other stuff before this. And here we have my favorite Coen brother film, Inside Llewyn Davis. A breakout performance from Oscar Isaac. Probably my favorite performance of his to this day. You got John Goodman in a supporting role. You've even got Justin Timberlake in there. Carey Mulligan's very, very fantastic in this. She's very reserved. Just a heartbreaking movie about the Greenwich Village music scene right before Bob Dylan kind of came to prominence. Yeah, it's good stuff. This is what a lot of people consider their favorite Coens, and I can't blame them. No Country for Old Men. 2007 was a hell of a year for movies, and this certainly is a big part of that. Javier Bardem as Anton Chigurh is a cultural performance of a lifetime. There's a reason it's still very much memed on and brought up to this day. It's a very chilling performance. Tommy Lee Jones, very, very good. Josh Brolin, this is kind of what started his career resurgence. He had, some, obviously the son of James Brolin, I believe is his father. So he had a bunch of roles in like the 80s and 90s, kind of fell off come 2000s to early 2010s, but this really put a shot in his career, and it's why you see him everywhere now. Happiness, this is a movie where you feel horrible for laughing at it, but it's a very funny dark comedy, and I know people roll their eyes at dark comedy, but it's not that type of dark comedy. It's very well written, very well done. Philip Seymour Hoffman and Dylan Baker give performances of a lifetime. Lara Flynn Boyle of Twin Peaks fame. Very, not rare, she's in movies, but she's mostly known for her TV stuff, so it's cool seeing her pop up in here. Just a very expertly written, horrific dark comedy. It is fucked up, but it's great. Only watch that when you're in for a rough time, though. Mikey and Nicky, starring Peter Falk and John Cassavetes. Peter Falk, obviously, very famous for his role in Columbo as Columbo, and he's fantastic in that. And I'm sure it was hard to escape that role when doing this, but he does so well. I see him as this film character and not as Lieutenant Columbo, which is what he's most known for. Very interesting movie. It's much like Scorsese's After Hours. It takes place over one night, and it's very, very anxiety inducing, while After Hours is more of a comedy. This is just a, not thriller, but it's very tense throughout it, very anxiety-inducing. Really great watch, though. David Cronenberg's Crash. This is one of my favorite Cronenbergs. I don't know what that says about me as a person, but this shit is crazy. Bunch of people getting into car crashes to get themselves off. It's a hell of a ride. Another Cronenberg film, Naked Lunch. It's good. It's obviously a well-made film. Like all the bug effects, all the weird, what's it? Is it the Interzone? Interzone, yeah. All the stuff visually done with the Interzone is very, very interesting, very well done. You get a great performance from Peter Weller, who's mostly known for RoboCop, and this was one of his, I'm sure he had other leading roles, but this is really the only other one I know besides RoboCop. Ian Holm as well, obviously famous for like Lord of the Rings and Alien. He's in this as well. Good performances from them. Not one of my favorite Cronenbergs, but it's still a very good movie. The Age of Innocence, a Martin Scorsese picture. Great performances from the main trio here. Daniel Day-Lewis, Michelle Pfeiffer, Winona Ryder. This is probably top 10 Scorsese for me. Again, another movie about lost love and how it erodes and destroys. A beautiful film. The costumes and sets are, I mean, gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. But good film. This is absolutely one of my favorite Scorsese's, The Last Temptation of Christ. I'm not a religious person. I was raised Catholic. I am lapsed. I don't really feel a call to come back, which I guess is why I connect with this movie more than a lot of Catholics. Incredibly controversial at its time, but I think the way this film presents Jesus as a person capable of fault, but a person who doesn't succumb to those faults, is far more compelling than this perfect human being that a lot of Christians and Catholics claim him to be. Great performance from Dafoe. I would love to see Scorsese direct more Dafoe. Harvey Keitel gets a bad rap for this. He's obviously not stunning or fantastic in it, but his performance is serviceable. Harry Dean Stanton again, he's in this. You got David Bowie as Pontius Pilate. A very low budget film, and it's not that it's evident, not that you can clearly tell, oh, it's low budget, but it's all shot on location. It's all mostly lit naturally, so it doesn't have the high production values of Scorsese's other films, but it's not to the film's detriment. As I mentioned earlier, we have After Hours here, an anxiety-inducing film, but it's also a very funny film. It's very goofy, very silly. It's just, oh man, how much more trouble can this guy get in? A good leading performance from Griffin Dunne, who's probably mostly known for An American Werewolf in London, which is actually something I haven't seen, and I've been meaning to. But you've also got a small performance from, I'm forgetting his name. Gremlins guy, Joe Dante collaborated with him a lot. Also, supporting performance from Rosanna Arquette, who is obviously related to the sister of Patricia Arquette. Catherine O'Hara, who is fantastic. I love her in comedies, and she's very good in this. Good film, hell of a ride. This is basically tied as my favorite Scorsese, along with The King of Comedy, which we'll get to later. Raging Bull. A very, very disturbing watch. The violence in the ring cannot escape the home, is essentially the meaning of this film. The boxing sequences are insane. They recorded every single punch landed in the film is a completely different sound. Every single light bulb flash from, the cameras, completely different sound. The camera moves along like the fighters in the ring. So when they're throwing so many punches, it just keeps cutting. When they're floating around trying to dodge each other, it floats with them. And unlike Rocky, this was one of the first major boxing films to actually have the camera in the ring and not panned out. So it's super well edited. I mean, it's a fantastically edited film. And you're basically just watching a man destroy himself because of his own contempt and self-loathing. It is fantastic. Here we have The Red Shoes, one of my favorite musicals, a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful Technicolor masterpiece. The music is fantastic, the choreography is fantastic, the colors and cinematography are just gorgeous. If you don't like musicals, I implore you, please check this out. It will change your mind. Here we have Guillermo del Toro's The Shape of Water. Probably my second favorite del Toro, behind Pan's Labyrinth, which we'll get to. People have kind of swung on this one recently. They decided I actually don't like this movie, but I'll never hate this movie. When you describe it, of course, the premise is a little weird, but I think it's done so tastefully and beautifully with great performances by Sally Hawkins, Doug Jones as the Gilman, and Michael Shannon in a great antagonizing role. I love Michael Shannon. And the makeup and practical effects are so good, as with all other Del Toro films, especially Pan's Labyrinth, which, again, we'll get to. But, I mean, this is a beautiful film. I love it. And as I mentioned earlier, here is Pan's Labyrinth, my favorite Del Toro by far. Movies absolutely do have, like, an emotional effect on me, but very rarely will it externally show itself. This is one of the few movies that makes me weep like I'm 3. I mean, it's really sad, but it's sad, but it's also beautiful, and I cry both happily and sad. The fawn is maybe my favorite creature in any film ever. Good lord, that thing is gorgeous to look at. It is so ethereal and otherworldly, as are, like, I'm forgetting the name, the dude with the flabs of skin everywhere and the hands, the eyes in his hands. I think the Pale Man is its name. Everything just feels not of this world, which obviously when you watch the film makes sense, but it's also so beautiful. But also super cool historical setting, putting this fantasy world into the context of the Spanish Civil War, which, considering Del Toro's heritage, is perfectly in line with him. Fantastic. Next up, we have Inland Empire. I describe this as the most miserable movie ever made, and I love it. I love the movie, but it is the most miserable thing to sit through ever. I've seen it once, and maybe a year or so ago, I tried to sit down and watch it again, and I got about halfway through, and I just could not do it. Lynch creates this feeling of anxiety and uneasiness so well that it's miserable to sit through, and the length, I mean, it's 3 hours long, so spread that out over 3 hours. It's a tough watch, but if you get through it, it is some of the most impactful film I've ever seen. Very rarely it's not really a horror movie, but very rarely has something frightened me to my core so much as once this thing wrapped up. Laura Dern is phenomenal in that. I love Laura Dern. This is my favorite John Waters movie, and it's in my top 20 movies of all time. Pink Flamingos. Divine is just fantastic in this. A movie about two groups of people trying to be the filthiest people on the planet, and they sure do make a case for why they should be the filthiest people of all time. It's a disgusting, revolting film, but it's super... What's the word I'm looking for? I mean, it's just endearing. No matter how disgusting whatever going on screen is, I can't look away. It's a phenomenal film. We've got Thelma and Louise, obviously starring Susan Sarandon and Gina Davis. Christopher McDonald as well, and a good supporting performance from him. I always forget this is directed by Ridley Scott, but this is one of... Ridley Scott's had some great films, like, throughout his entire career, but there was a point where he was putting out banger after banger, and this is kind of towards the end of that streak. Phenomenal film. One of the better buddy road trip crime movies. It is a crime movie, but when you watch the movie, you'll see why not really the case. These aren't criminals. Harvey Keitel, a great supporting performance from him as well. But the two leads is why you watch it, and their chemistry is fantastic. Gina Davis, I love. Susan Sarandon, I love. The two of them together is phenomenal. Here is Mishima, A Life in Four Chapters, directed by Paul Schrader. This is my fourth favorite movie of all time. It is just so unbelievably beautiful and profound. It's basically a biography of Mishima, the author, famous Japanese author, but told through vignettes of the various stories he wrote and published. A super interesting way to do something like that. That's such a unique structure, and it works well for the film. It's a phenomenal film. The Irishman. All I can say is this movie is not long enough. I could have sat here and watched De Niro, Pacino, and Pesci for 3 hours more. Great film, and all of his recent movies have felt like a very defining final picture, a summation of all the themes. Obviously this isn't his final movie, but this one above all truly feels like this is my send off from Scorsese. I've talked about it before, David Lynch's Mulholland Drive. This is my second copy. You'll see I have 4 copies. It's so good. Seeing this, 2021, I was into film beforehand, but this made me fall in love with film, honestly. This movie I think it will always be my favorite of all time. I don't think there's anything that can come out or that I can see that will top this. It made me fall in love with movies. We have Eraserhead, David Lynch's first feature-length film. He had a ton of short films before this. And right from the bat, Lynch knew what he was making. Everything he is known for is in this film. He came out and knowing exactly what he was about. A great performance from Jack Nance, rest in peace. Lynch collaborator, sorry. Known for his roles in all other Lynch films, especially Twin Peaks. But great nightmare. What's the tagline? A dream of dark and troubling things. There's no better way to describe that film. This is one of Lynch's more accessible mainstream films, and it is as beautiful as everything else he's made. The Elephant Man, like I said with Pan's Labyrinth, that's one of the few movies that actually gets me to tear up and cry. This as well. The ending always gets me. Anthony Hopkins, John Hurt, fantastic performances. The sadness you can see through John Hurt, through his eyes alone, under all that thick, heavy makeup is astonishing. John Hurt is a fantastic performer, and he's great in this. That's probably my favorite role from him. We have Blue Velvet, sort of the proto Twin Peaks. A lot of what Twin Peaks is about can be seen in here, along with his other films, but this is a crime thriller like Twin Peaks. Dennis Hopper, this has one of my favorite performances of any film ever. Dennis Hopper as Frank Booth, absolutely unhinged and disturbing to watch, but he's so good. When Lynch passed away, this is the film that made me drink a Pabst Blue Ribbon in his honor, because when Frank Booth says, "Oh, let me get you a beer, what kind of beer you like?" and then McLaughlin goes, "Heineken," and Frank Booth goes, "Heineken? Fuck that shit. Pabst Blue Ribbon." I'm like, you know what, Lynch? I'm drinking a PBR in your honor. I mentioned this one earlier because of the Kino Lorber Blu-ray. Lost Highway, again. Patricia Arquette is probably the hottest woman ever caught on film in this. This is the second of... No, sorry, it's the first. It's the first of Lynch's So-and-So Hollywood trilogy, which is actually his final 3 features overall. No, Straight Story was in between this and Mulholland Drive. I actually don't have Straight Story, I need to get that. But this, Mulholland Drive, and Inland Empire kind of go through the horrors of Hollywood, because he was done with Hollywood at this point. He didn't want to deal with it anymore. And I mentioned this earlier as well, Videodrome. I mean, fantastic film. Here you have Silence of the Lambs. Not much needs to be said about this. Everyone has seen it. It is one of the most critically acclaimed films of the last 30, 40 years. Anthony Hopkins, obviously fantastic. Jodie Foster, phenomenal in this as well. Scott Glenn, phenomenal. The whole cast is phenomenal. Such a tight written script, great performances, phenomenal movie. And here is my favorite Kurosawa, as is, high and lows close to this as well, but I'm sure there's many others as well. Seven Samurai. Everything good you've heard about this movie doesn't do it justice. You need to sit down and watch this. Don't be put off by its 3.5 hour runtime. It is worth it. It is an epic in every sense of the word. Phenomenal stuff. So those are all my criterions. I'm gonna grab a couple oddball releases I have, go through them, and then we'll start going through my just regular studio label stuff. Alright, like I said right before this, I'm just going to be going through some quick oddball releases. These are weirdly shaped boxes that just won't sit on my shelf. So I have them, got another shelf up there that I display a lot of stuff, so these are just kind of random releases I'll go through real quick. First up is the Big Boy. The Godzilla Showa era collection has all the Showa era films from the 50s to, I believe, mid-70s is when the Showa era ended. My favorite Showa era film is either the original Godzilla or Godzilla vs. Mothra. I love Godzilla. Obviously, all these films aren't fantastic or the most well-made pieces of film ever, but even the ones that aren't are still a lot of goofy fun. So that is a big old release, though. I don't think it will fit any shelf ever made. Next up, we have Scorsese's Films of Faith, his faith-based trilogy. This comes from Imprint. Last Temptation of Christ, which I talked about. Silence and Kundun. So here's obviously Last Temptation of Christ. Talked about that before. Fantastic film. Kundun, which is my least favorite of the films included, and it's lower down on my Scorsese tier list. Not that it's bad at all, but from something like Last Temptation and On to Silence, you can tell he has a deep personal connection with the material, as he was raised Catholic and is Catholic currently. But something like this, his heart, it's not fully in it. And so it doesn't speak as much to me. And then Silence, a fantastic Scorsese. Probably cracks the top 10. It is, even as someone who isn't religious, after watching this movie, I see why that is so beautiful to some people, why they would choose that path. A deeply affecting, moving, and faithful experience. Beautiful film. But this is a great set. I'm really glad I picked it up. All these films, even Kundun, the one I don't love, are still fantastic pieces of film. Next up, I have the Studio Canal UK big old box for Mulholland Drive. Again, talked about this before, my favorite film of all time. This is the third release I own. And it's 4K Ultra HD and Blu-ray as well. So, beautiful, beautiful film. From Shout Factory, we have the Herzog collection. This includes Even Dwarfs Started Small, Land of Silence and Darkness, Fata Morgana, Aguirre, The Wrath of God, The Enigma of Caspar Hauser, Hearts of Glass, Storzak, Wozak, Nosferatu the Vampire, Fitzcarraldo, Ballad of the Little Soldier, Where the Green On Stream, Cobra Verde, Lessons of Darkness, Little Dieter Needs to Fly, and My Best Fiend. Out of the films in this collection, I mean, all of them are great. They're Werner Herzog films, but I absolutely recommend Fitzcarraldo. That's also my top 20. I think it's in my top 10 favorite films of all time. Nosferatu the Vampire, which I mentioned earlier. Aguirre, The Wrath of God. And My Best Fiend, which documents Herzog's tumultuous, successful, but also horrific relationship with one of his actors, Klaus Kinski. Here we have Second Sight's release of Mean Streets. This is the movie that solidified Scorsese as a major director. His first collaboration with De Niro, and second or third collaboration with Harvey Keitel. And this is the movie that basically formed the stereotypical gangster movie that Scorsese's only really directed 3 or 4 of, but people claim he only makes gangster movies. It all came from here, and it's a great watch. Not my favorite from him, but It's still a great watch. It's still a Scorsese film. Imprint's release of Suspiria 2018, directed by Luca Guadagnino. This is a movie that I'm going to say I obviously prefer the 1977 original, but really these two stand side by side. One doesn't replace the other. Because while this is a remake, it basically just takes not even the setting, just the general premise and runs completely wild with it. If you've seen the original and are holding off on seeing this because it's a remake, see it. It's not really a remake at all. It's definitely worth the watch. And then last up is Francis Ford Coppola's masterpiece, Apocalypse Now. This is my second favorite film of all time. Great performances from everyone involved. Obviously, Marlon Brando, the master. Martin Sheen, Dennis Hopper, I think his first role ever, Lawrence Fishburne. A beautiful, beautiful, haunting look at Vietnam and the destruction of man's psyche that war brings upon it. This is the war film to end all war films, truly an epic. And honestly, kind of the end of an era for these type of films, these type of war films. If you've seen this movie and haven't seen, most releases included the documentary Hearts of Darkness, which is about the production of this film. Do check it out. It is the most insane production a movie has ever had. I don't know how the hell this movie came out and was even 10% as good as it is. It was a hell to get through. But this is my favorite Coppola film. Second is probably The Conversation, which I actually don't have. I need to pick that up. But it is just haunting in its core. As I believe it was Coppola who said, in this movie, you're not just traveling down the river, but down the psyche and hearts of man. So, beautiful film. So that's going to do it for this part. Next part will be out pretty soon, and we'll actually start getting into my just, major studio basic releases. You can get it Walmart or whatever. This is mostly all of my specialty stuff. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you liked it, make sure to like it or don't like it. I don't, do what you want. Subscribe if you want to see a video every 8 months in your sub feed. And if you want to comment and say, hey, fuck you, I don't like Mulholland Drive, I'm not going to stop you. So, yeah, but thanks for watching, and hopefully you'll see another video from me soon.